Hello, YouTube, and this is the first episode of the Shittem Chest. So this is a series where I talk about future characters in Blue Archive Global. We're going to check out their skills and their applications on endgame content. I'm also going to discuss how good they are in general and how worth they are to pull. Without further ado, we're going to start with Kisaki for the first episode. So Kisaki, finally, after so long, when she was revealed during the second anniversary. She was released as a actual character. We're going to discuss the EX skill, which is I cannot read this, but this is a 3-cost EX skill that increases the EX skill damage dealt of one ally by 80.7% for 15 seconds. So if you guys are wondering what this EX damage dealt up, it increases the amount of damage dealt by EX skills according here in Chalet DB. And the nature of this buff is multiplicative. So how do you compute that? Let's just take Mika's damage for example. Get that number, multiply it by 0.807, and then add it to Mika's damage. This skill just straight up increases the damage dealt by EX skills. It is sound really broken on paper, and it is really proven multiple times in endgame content. So yeah, it also has like the same nature as damage dealt, which is shown on someone like Mika. This is like our first time seeing this. Like the damage dealt up is increased by this amount from Mika. This buff is also multiplicative in nature compared to like attack. So this is a straight up 24.2% more damage. And then for EX skill damage dealt is basically the same as damage dealt but only for EX skills. So what's the application of this EX skill? Of course, to all units that deal damage with their EX skills. EX skills that only buffs or only changes like the status of someone, heals someone, will not benefit from Kisaki's EX skill. Period. Would be dope if Kisaki's EX skill is damage dealt. That would be really broken because it covers everything, even the EX skill. So let's proceed to the basic skill. So every 35 seconds, he grants a barrier with HP equal to 131% of her healing to the ally with the lowest HP, lasting up to 17 seconds. It's not much. Barrier is an okay mechanic in general. It's strong on Gauss because Gauss doesn't deal a lot of damage against shielded enemies. So what is this even used for? I guess it's more on the survivability, of course. It's not that much, I would say, but it's there. Like it helps. I don't think it's not anything bad, but it's something that you don't really mind. Doesn't really scream anything broken. It's just straight up barrier. This is just basically the same as focus. And this skill has a 17-second duration. It only activates every 35 seconds, so there's like kind of a large window between each activation. So you cannot really rely on this, but it's there, and it's good if it lands at the right person at the right time. Next one is the enhanced skill. This is the EW40. I'm just going to show you the base one. So the enhanced skill increases the healing by 26.6%, which benefits the shield. If you get her at EW40, that's 2 blue stars. That also gives her buff retention. It benefits all of her buffs that she gives. So that includes her EX skill and her barrier. So how do you calculate for this? So 17 seconds. So if we're going to calculate that, that's 17 times 0.19. So it's basically 19% more duration. So that's 20.23 seconds. That's 3 whole more seconds of barrier, which is still there. It benefits. Lasts a little bit more longer if it matters, but the number one thing this buff would benefit the most from Kisaki's skill set is this one from her busted EX skill damage dealt. We just do the same calculation. 15 plus 15 multiplied by 19%, which is 17.85 seconds. It lasts approximately 2.85 seconds longer. 2.85 seconds is not that long. It's just a very short duration. However, if you really think about it, there are some strategies that are really tight. You would really want this to be on Kisaki. What if Hanako shoots like 3 EX skills? Or even 4 with Ryo? I think the 2.85 second more duration really matters. So yeah, EW40 gives buff retention. Really classic Nexen stuff, giving this to pretty much all of the supports released recently. And then the sub skill is a classic cost recovery by 20.2% at level 10. He is the 4th special student with cost recovery, and the other ones being Shiroko Swimsuit, Haruka New Year, and Himari. We're going to discuss her application in actual raids after she was released. And I already listed down all of the grand assaults and total assaults that happened ever since Kisaki was released. So the first victim for Kisaki is, unfortunately, it's KAITEN. So what happened in KAITEN Torment here? So from what I remember, it just became a one-pan Torment speedrun competition, or 2-pan if you're going to use Tomoe Chipao. So yeah, KAITEN became a joke once again. Well, I'm not saying that it's easy. There's some molding involved, but with the release of Kisaki, everything just was made easier. Because it's just straight up 80% more damage from Tohina's EX skills, which on itself, it's already super strong. And then the second victim in the total assault category is no other than Gregorius. Gregorius is something wherein special students or special DPSs or burst DPSs shine, like Minori. I don't know about Nagisa, I don't know about Miyu, but it's mainly Minori. With the release of Kisaki, all of a sudden, Hina returned to the meta. From what I remember, Hina Kisaki speedrun on Torment is depressing. It's actually really depressing because it's a mold fest, and it's also a groggy mold. Like, if you don't reach a certain point on the groggy gauge, you have to restart. And it's really hard to just keep it consistent. It became easier, but still really difficult because it's just how Gregorius works. You still have to micromanage Mina's health. You still have to watch out for the debuffs that you apply if you give way too low or way too high. All of that considerations that you have to think about other than the damage. Anyways, with Wakamo Hovercraft, I think this is one of the victims of Kisaki. There was a strategy that I used here wherein you don't really use Kisaki on the first phase because I think, as far as I can remember, Himari already got it. Yeah, because of Kisaki, no number of rotations on Wakamo Hovercraft or Hovercraft phase was made possible. And the next raid was Geburah. Geburah is at least on Insane, which is the highest difficulty that I've completed. Kisaki was nowhere to be found, or at the very least, she was rarely used. The reason being is that special units benefit most with this buff, which is this one. Increases the damage dealt of special students by 80%. So imagine, 80% damage dealt, 75% less damage dealt by striker students. And the best units here are Satsuki and Shiroko Swimsuit. Shiroko Swimsuit for the cost recovery because you don't really going to use Kisaki to buff someone from the strikers because strikers have much less damage. And then for, I don't know about Lunatic, maybe for last ditch effort to deal some damage, maybe Kisaki was used. So yeah, I guess the Geburah was like an exception to like Kisaki's coverage because of how the raid works, really. Next one was the recent Kurokage. I only completed up to Torment, and I would say that Kisaki is a must-have. She will give her buff to Hanako's swimsuit, and she would deal a lot of damage. Sometimes not enough, sometimes too much, depending on what strategy that you are using. If it's a Mari idol strategy, or it's the Senna casual strategy. And then for Lunatic, of course, Kisaki was used over here as well, as it was used on Torment. And then for Grand Assaults, I'm just going to enumerate all of them. So it was Kurokage Elastic. Kisaki was widely used there. Chesed Special, of course. Chesed Special. Bina, wherein the Torment here is yellow. Kisaki was also used here. KAITEN, as same as before. Also, Gregorius, which were in the Torment armor type, is special. And then for the final restriction released, she was not really used in set because of the... There you go. Reduces the amount of damage received from EX skills by 80%. That's a fuck ton. And then for Chokma, I think I've seen on Mika. I don't know about Marina though. But for Blue, I think it was used on Neru. Was also used on Tauri swimsuit, and yeah, in Chokma, Kisaki was widely used. And now I'm going to just do a quick comparison between Kisaki and Himari, and then we're going to calculate their damage, provided that Kisaki is here, and then her attributes. I think this is already more than fine. Tier 10 on both, level 90, bond 20 just to make it realistic. And then buffs and debuffs, we're going to add Kisaki here. So with Kisaki, if you check out over here, from her EX skill, her average damage is 821,314. So we're going to do the same with Himari over here. With the same skill, same attributes, all of the buffs applied. So according here, the average damage now here against Wakamo swimsuit, no stack, is 705,998, which is, in comparison, is tremendously large. And now, here lies the question, is Himari completely replaced by Kisaki? Is Himari like completely obsolete? Like, why would you roll for Himari if you already got Kisaki, right? And the answer to that is an outstanding no. So if we're going to go back to the EX skill description, he only buffs EX skill damage dealt. Himari basically buffs the attack in general. There are some situations wherein Himari shines, and there are a lot of situations where Kisaki just simply shines. These two characters are doing different things, and therefore I cannot really say that Himari was completely wiped off in the meta because of Kisaki's existence. She still has several uses. She could be your buffer on your second team, if ever. She is more of the student from the other team now. She's not gone from the meta, but you know, there are a lot of situations where Kisaki shines best, or shine more than Himari. But she's still here. Himari is still here. Yeah. In conclusion, Kisaki is a very strong support, and I would recommend her to get her at least EW40 to benefit from the buff retention. She's like a must-have. I'm just going to say it straight. She's a must-have. So yeah, that's it for my talk on Kisaki. A really strong character. And I hope you guys enjoyed the first episode of the Shittem Chest. Bye-bye.